Okay. The following Zoom session is being recorded and will appear later today on my YouTube channel, Math with Mayo. There are two different classes that may be observing this session. Therefore, when you participate in the Zoom meeting, if you do not wish for your picture or your name to be made public, please leave the video off and use an alias name. If you have questions during the meeting but do not wish to speak, email me at bmayo@ybcc.edu and I will respond as soon as I can. Okay. So I've got a request for a couple of problems here. Let's see. This is 10.2, part 1, number 13. And part A, it says this. For each equation, write an equivalent quadratic equation that will be easier to solve. Do not solve the equation. So our original equation is 95x squared plus 76x minus 57 equals 0. And what they've got is they've got a box and then x squared plus a box times x minus 3 equals 0. Well, the clue to this thing is they're going to take this equation and reduce it down so that the constant is a 3. How do you get from 57 to 3? Well, let's see. 57 divided by 3 is 19. So 57 divided by 19 would be 3. So basically what they're doing is they're factoring out a 19. Or they're dividing each piece by 19, okay? So let's see, 95 divided by 19 is 5. 76 divided by 19 is 4. And 57 divided by 19 is the 3. So that's where we get the 5x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. So they're just reducing it down. It says, write an equivalent equation that will be easier to solve. Smaller numbers, easier to solve. Okay, then part B, it has 1/5 m squared minus 1/4 m minus 1/5 equals 0. And the answer is supposed to be something times m squared minus something times m minus 4 equals 0. And we can take two different approaches. We can look at this and say, well, how would we clear the fractions? We'd multiply both sides by the LCD, which is 20. Or we could say, how am I going to turn that into a 4? I'd get the same answer. I'd have to multiply everybody by 20. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 20. When I do that, 20 times 1/5 m squared would be 4m squared. 20 times minus 1/4 m would be minus 5m. 20 times minus 1/5 would be minus 4. So there's your answers. We okay with that? Well, I'll take that as a yes. And now I'm going to look at two other questions. Let's see. 10.1. Number 12. Let's see. Is that right? Number 12 and number 13. Somehow I feel like I got the wrong. No, that's correct. Okay. 12 and 13. Huh. Oh, okay. Now I understand why I'm confused. We just did something from 10.2 part 13 or 10.2 part 1, and this goes back a couple of days, 10.1. Okay, which is fine. We'll do them, but I couldn't understand why it wasn't lining up. Okay, so 10.1, this is number 12. Okay, it says let f of x equal x plus 2 squared. For what value or values of x is f of x equal to 2? So basically what we've got is this. Okay, and then we're supposed to solve it. Well, I'm going to rewrite it, putting the perfect square on the left. Then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to get x plus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. So x equals negative 2 plus the square root of 2. And x equals negative 2 minus the square root of 2. Which in WebAssign, you'd write it like this, with a separating with a comma. Okay, so that's number 12, going back to 10.1, and then here is 10.1, number 13. It says let g of a equal 2a minus 3 squared. For what values or value of a is g of a equal to 8? So basically we're going to have this equals 8. We're going to replace g of a with 8. We're going to take the square root of both sides. We're going to get 2a minus 3 equals plus or minus. The square root of 8 is the square root of 4 times 2 is 2 square roots of 2. We're going to add 3 to both sides. So 2a equals 3 plus or minus 2 square roots of 2. And then we're going to divide by 2. So a equals 3 plus or minus 2 square roots of 3. Oh, 2 square roots of 2. My bad. That's what I get for trying to hurry here. I need to slow down. So writing them separately in WebAssign, it would be, let's see, a equals 3 plus 2 square roots of 2 all over 2. And then out here a comma, 3 minus 2 square roots of 2 all over 2. Okay, so that again takes us back a couple of days. And now we're going to move onward and look at the second part. So 10.2 part 2, which is to look at some story problem applications. Okay. Our first problem, basically what we have is we have a right triangle. And we're told that the length of this side is 97 feet. The length of the longer side is 7 feet longer than the shorter side. So if this is x, this would be x plus 7. Okay. And then the question is, if this is let's see here. If this is a crosswalk and this is a crosswalk and that's a crosswalk, if you do the diagonal crosswalk across this intersection, how many feet do you save as opposed to walking all the way here and all the way there? Okay, so basically 97 is how much less than the two other sides. Now, for right triangle, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, which says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is always the longest side, or the hypotenuse. So in this case, C is the 97 feet. A and B can be either of the two other remaining sides. So what I've got here is the following. I've got x plus 7 squared plus x squared equals 97 squared. Before I go on, do you have any questions there? All right, so then I've got x plus 7 times x plus 7 plus x squared equals, let's see here, 97 squared is 9,409. Foiling, I get x squared plus 7x plus 7x plus 49 plus x squared is 9,409. Combining like terms on the left, I get 2x squared plus 14x plus 49 equals 9,409. Subtracting 9,409 from both sides of the equation, I get 2x squared plus 14x. Let's see here, if I've got 49 minus 9,409, I get minus 9,360 equals 0. All of my coefficients are even, so I'm going to make this smaller. X squared plus 7x minus, let's see, 9,360 divided by 2 is 4,680 equals 0. Okay, let's stop there, take a breath. Any questions about how I got all the way to there? So now I'm going to take that equation, write it on the next page, and then use the quadratic formula to solve it. 4,680. Okay. So A is 1, B is 7, C is negative 4,680. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. X equals negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49. We've got minus 4 times 1, which is still minus 4, or negative 4. And then that times negative 4,680 gives us a positive 18,720. Again, all over 2. So then X is negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 18,720 plus 49, which is 18,769 all over 2. Let's see. Now, the directions didn't say anything about approximating, so that tends to tell me that the square root of 18,769 is going to be a nice number, and it is. X equals negative 7 plus or minus 137 over 2. So X equals negative 7 plus 137 over 2. X equals negative 7 minus 137 over 2. Going back, this would be, let's see, negative 7 plus 137 is 130, divided by 2 is 65. Negative 7 minus 137 is negative 144, divided by 2 is negative 72. So X is 65, X is negative 72. All right, so all of that, let's go back here. X and X plus 7 are both distances, so we can't use a negative value for a distance. So this is 65 feet. This is what? 65 plus 7, which is 72 feet. So if we walk this distance and this distance, 72 plus 65 is 137. And if we subtract this distance, we find, oh, so by going across the diagonal, we save 60 feet of walking. Except somehow I messed up because I didn't subtract correctly. What's 137 minus 97? It's 40. We saved 40 feet of walking. Apparently I was walking out to lunch. All right. A lot in that problem. Let's take a look at a different problem. Again, this is right triangles. It says the hypotenuse of a right triangle is 2.5 units long. The longer leg is 1.7 units longer than the shorter leg. So if the shorter leg is x, the longer leg is x plus 1.7 units. All right. So once again, we're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The longest side, the hypotenuse, is c. The other two legs are a and b. Again, doesn't matter which one's a and which one's b. So now I have the following equation. X plus 1.7 squared plus x squared equals 2.5 squared. So I get x plus 1.7 times x plus 1.7 plus x squared equals 6.25. 2.5 times 2.5 comes out to 6.25. Foiling, I get x squared plus 1.7x plus 1.7x plus, let's see, 1.7 squared is, oops, helps if you turn your calculator on before you put the numbers in, 2.89 equals 6.25. Combining like terms, oops, I forgot this other x squared here. Slow down. Plus x squared equals 6.25. I forgot to bring that one down. Now, combining like terms, we get 2x squared plus 3.4x plus 2.89 equals 6.25. I'm going to subtract 6.25 from both sides of the equation. 2x squared plus 3.4x, and then I'm going to take 2.89 minus 6.25, which is minus 3.36 equals 0. Okay. So to get rid of my decimals, I'd have to multiply both sides by 100. So I get 200x squared plus 340x minus 336 equals 0. Okay. But I've multiplied by 100 to clear all the decimals. But now I could actually reduce this thing down. I think that I could factor a 4 out of everything. So I'm going to divide everything by 4. And I'm going to write the answer on the next page. So 200 divided by 4 would be 50x squared plus 340 divided by 4 is 85. So plus 85x. And then minus 336 divided by 4 is minus 84. And then that equals 0. So going back, what did I do? I got my equation, multiplied by 100 to clear the decimals, divided by 4. So I could have just multiplied by 25 instead of multiplying by 100 and dividing by 4, but that wasn't so easy to see. So now it's time to plug it into the quadratic formula, okay? So A is 50, B is 85, C is negative 84, X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. X equals negative 85 plus or minus the square root of, let's see here, 85 squared is 7225. Minus 4 times 50 times minus 84 would be plus, we've got 4 times 50 times 84 is 16,800. It's a good thing we've got a calculator. 2 times 50 is 100. Okay, x equals negative 85 plus or minus the square root of 16,800 plus 7225 is 24025, all divided by 100. Now, the directions didn't say anything about round to the nearest tenth or hundredth or whatever, so my guess is the square root of 24,025 is going to be a nice number, and it is. So I get x equals negative 85 plus or minus 155 over 100. Square root of 24,025 is 155. Who knew? Okay. So now I've got x is negative 85 plus 155 over 100, or x is negative 85 minus 155 over 100. Well, negative 85 plus 155 is 70 over 100 would be what? 0.7. And then negative 85 minus 155 would be negative 240 over 100, which would be negative 2.4. Except I see what I did here. This should have been written down here. And this should have been written down there. Okay. Now, once again, this situation, we're dealing with distances. Okay. So it couldn't be negative. So if x is 0.7, this is what? 0.7, and this is 1.7 plus 0.7, which would be 2.4 units. So it said, find the lengths of the legs, 0.7 units and 2.4 units. Any questions on that? Okay. Let's take a look at a problem that is not a triangle, but in fact it's a rectangle. It says the largest permanent movie screen, at least as of the date of this book, is in the Panasonic IMAX Theatre at Darling Harbour, Sydney, Australia. The rectangular screen has an area of 11,349 square feet. Find the dimensions of the screen if it is 20 feet longer than it is wide. So if this is the width, and we'll call that x, and this is the length, that would be x plus 20. Okay, x feet, x plus 20 feet. All right, it says find the dimensions. So the area of a rectangle is the length times the width. So 11,349 equals x plus 20 times x. So there's our equation. Any questions yet? Okay. So 11,349 equals x squared plus 20x. I'm going to subtract 11,349 from both sides of the equation. Sorry, that has an x there. And we get that. Now, using the quadratic formula, a is 1, b is 20, c is negative 11,349. Again, this one didn't say anything about rounding off, so I guess it's going to come out nice numbers. X is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is negative 20 plus or minus the square root of 400. minus 4 times 1 times negative 11,349 is going to be plus. And then we've got what? 4 times 1 is 4 times 11,349. And that's 45396, all divided by 2. So x is negative 20 plus or minus the square root of 45,396 plus 400 is 45,796 all over 2. But the square root of that is 214 all over 2, the square root of 45,796. So I'm going to take that and write that on the next page. X equals negative 20 plus or minus, let's see, was it 214 all over 2. So x is negative 20 plus 214 over 2. X is negative 20 minus 214 over 2. So let's see here. Negative 20 plus 214 is 194 divided by 2 is 97. Negative 20 minus 214 is negative 234 divided by 2 is negative 117. Now, as with the last two problems, in this case, we're dealing with distances, length and width. And in those cases, a negative answer doesn't work. You can't have a negative distance. Okay. So 97 would be the width. 97 plus 20, which would be 117 feet, would be the length. And it said, find the dimensions. So the width is 97 feet. The length is 117 feet. Any questions on that one? Okay. One more. And let me draw a picture here. And let's see, got a sailboat and some trees. And here's what we know. We know that this, okay, what this is, let me read what it says. The matting around a picture has a uniform width. How wide is the matting if its area equals the area of the picture round to the nearest hundredth of an inch? Okay, so this, let's see here. We've got this picture, here's some water, and here's some greenery. Okay, this is the matting around the outside here, okay? So there's the picture in the middle, and then it's got a frame around it that's like cardboard matting, okay? All right, the matting around a picture has a uniform width. So this distance is equal to that distance, is equal to that distance, is equal to that distance. Let's call that distance x. Okay, that's the width of it. Now, we're also told that the length of the picture, so this distance right here is 5 inches, and this distance right here is 4 inches. Okay, let me draw a new picture because I've got too much going on there. So what we know is from here to here is 5 inches. From here to here is 4 inches. Okay. The uniform width is x. So that means this distance is x, this distance is x, this distance is x, this distance is x. So what's this entire side? It would be 2x plus 4. If this distance is x and this distance is x, what would this entire side be? It'd be 2x plus 5. You see where I'm getting the 2x plus 4, the 2x plus 5? Well, hopefully. All right. But what else do we know? Well, okay, if this picture inside is 5 by 4, its area would be 20 square inches. But it said the area of the mat was equal to the area of the picture. So if the area of the picture is 20 square inches and the area of the mat is 20 square inches, the area of the total would be 40 square inches. Well, since area equals length times width, we've got the following equation. 40 equals 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 4. So continuing to solve that equation, 40 equals 4x squared. You know what? I'm just going to take that and copy it on the next page. 40 equals 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 4. So 40 equals 4x squared plus 8x plus 10x plus 20. 40 equals 4x squared plus 18x plus 20. Subtract 40 from both sides. 0 equals 4x squared plus 18x minus 20. I could divide both sides by 2 to reduce it down to 0 equals 2x squared plus 9x minus 10. Now, using the quadratic formula, a is 2, b is 9, c is negative 10. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals negative 9 plus or minus 81 plus 80. Minus 4 times 2 is minus 8 times minus 10 would be plus 80 all over 4. X equals negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 161 all over 4. I'm going to take that and write it on the next page. X equals negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 161 all over 4. Again, because the directions said round to the nearest hundredth, I don't expect this to come out nicely. So let's find out what our two possible answers are. So again, I need parentheses around the whole thing and the radical around the whole thing and just the radical. Parentheses, negative 9 plus the square root of 161, close it up, close up the whole thing, divided by 4. I get 0.922. Rounding to the nearest hundredth, you'd get 0.92. And this is what? Inches. Okay. Then doing the second one, we get negative 5.4222, which is negative 5.42. But again, we're dealing with a distance of a picture frame. So our answer, let's see, X, that uniform width would be 0.92 inches. And there you have it. Any questions on that? So you've got area of a rectangle, length times width, right triangle, the lengths of the sides, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, Pythagorean theorem. You may need to apply those to this section. All right, that's all I have for you today. So I'll stop the